Hello and welcome back. I'm Nick Boddington and Matt is with me as usual. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well. It's gone a bit cold outside, but we're all good. Summer's over. Episode 26. This week, we're going to be discussing how our new ads clinic 10x Tom's revenue in less than a week. An amazing, amazing feat. So let's get right in. Morning, Matt. How are you doing today?
I'm all right, Nick. I feel a bit scruffy, but I'm all right.
Yeah. Well, you're scruffy. Is that why you went and put a jacket on a minute ago?
I was sat here.
There's always someone here to ruin it, isn't there?
You're not meant to say that bit. Yeah, I just sat here looking at myself on the camera, thinking, you just look a mess. Like
you look brighter than me. If you got we're both using the lights because you can see them in our glasses.
Oh no,
this is glasses off.
The sun's coming out.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so that's why. But
okay.
Yeah, so I just I shaved my hair off, as you know, because it was just unbearable during lockdown. So it's growing back because I'm just looking a bit, just not my usual self. So I'm looking forward to getting back to the gym, growing my hair back, and some warmer weather. It was really weird at the weekend. It was like snowing and sunny at the same time.
I know, it was awful, wasn't it? We had such nice. So for anyone who's listening now and probably thinks, "Oh, what day is it?" It is Thursday the 8th of April, and we are literally days away from being able to go to a restaurant. Sit outside, obviously, but things are going to go back to normality. So, because I know that people go back to the old podcast to listen to old episodes, or they just join us and they might join us on like episode 3 or something. So that's where we are. So in time, we'll be like, oh my God, can you remember the days we were in lockdown? But yeah,
have you got any tables booked yet?
I've got one next week. Yeah, like a fish restaurant. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But if the weather stays like this, they're going to need some outdoor heaters, aren't they?
I mean, they'd be silly not to, wouldn't they? I'm sure they'd be all prepping for that at the moment.
I don't need to go. I'm not bothered about going to a restaurant and sitting in the cold. I will wait a little bit longer.
No, not about that.
Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah. So anyway, welcome. It's episode 26, I'm sure, but I usually get this one wrong. But I'm thinking it's episode 26. I'll know afterwards when we save this recording. And we got some big news, haven't we, Matt? So if you might have seen the title of this video, which is about the ads clinic. We have set up and just launched to the public our ads clinic, where we become doctors of Facebook ads and use our experience and our profession and our everyday sitting in ads to go and help people fix their own, whether they've got their own business, whether they're working as an agency themselves, whatever it might be. We're going in to see how we can help them and change their ads. And so far, we've had some really, really good success. So we want to talk about that, but this podcast not just talking about the ads clinic. Anyway, if you want to go, it's theadsclinic.com. We're not talking about us, sell. We are going to give you loads of value as usual, but we're going to discuss the sort of things that I've seen so far when doing this. And in a way, because we had another episode, didn't we, a while back with James on it, is when do you use an agency? And this is kind of that perfect crossover of you're not quite there, you're in the ads yourself, and we can go in and help you tweak things to make your ads better. So we're going to sort of discuss those sort of things today. But Matt has been using his lead generation skills to create the funnel for us. And it's doing really, really well. I think, in fact, I called you yesterday, didn't I, to say, oh, maybe we should try running the ads for my personal page opposed to the Let's Run Social Facebook page. And you're like, hold on, it's working really, really well. We don't need to change things yet. So it's amazing, isn't it?
There's still work to do, but yeah, it's like it's only been live for a week, and it's very, very early days, especially because like our product that we're like the customer that we're trying to attract, it's not like the cheapest thing, is it, in the world? So it's gonna take a while.
No, exactly. So, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because we spend talking about the ads clinic, we go into other people's ads and help them out with it. We're always going by our own things. Yet when you suddenly start doing it for yourself, you're starting to really cross-examine things, forget things like the last episode. when you sort of like said, oh, it's coming, and then you said just go to www.letsrunsocial/ blah blah. I was like, oh man, we can't. Suddenly we forgot about it. It's like we can't have a URL as the hook. We need something nice and simple called theadsclinic.com, because people need to be able to
Your wish
remember
is
it.
my command. That is
And
now
it's
a
been
live
done.
URL. So
I've been sitting there searching for different URLs that we can use, and you were like, why don't we just use the adsclinic.com? Surely that's available. I hadn't found one. I was going through Nick's calls, LRS ads, everything. Everything's gone. Yeah, the adsclinic.com was still available, which
such a
it's
cool
fate.
URL as well. I was really chuffed when I realized that was available. So
Do you think we should put
yeah.
doctor on our signatures and maybe put some like letters at the end of it?
Definitely not. Can you not get done for that?
Depends what you're a doctor of. Doctor of
Yeah,
ads.
true.
So yeah, so we've launched
well,
No, I was just going to go in for another hook. That's all.
So yeah, like the funnel is live, and we're essentially allowing people to just jump on a call with you, and you just go through their ads with them. And
Should we talk about the funnel quickly, because that's going to give some value to people who are looking at building lead gen funnels.
Yeah.
You want to say
definitely.
what basically the strategy you've got behind it?
Yeah, cool. So at the moment, just to kind of like get things going, our ads are essentially the kind of the lead magnet, so to speak, as a free ads review session with Nick, the Nick Boddington, and essentially people are opting into a half-hour consultation call with you where you're live in their ads manager looking over their ads. And I know that you've got a client already that you're working really well with at the moment and getting some great results. So that's Tom, and we'll talk about him shortly. But yeah, essentially we've got a funnel where you opt in, but before the call can be booked, this is an application funnel. And before the call can be booked, we have a questionnaire, because what we're not doing with this ads clinic is helping people that are completely new from scratch. This is people that already have an ads manager, they've already been running ads, and maybe they're just quite not getting the result that they're hoping for, or in a lot of cases. And I think even if you are really experienced, it's actually quite nice just to have somebody to bounce ideas off of. Like I've spoken to somebody recently and she knows a lot about ads, but she is still just that one person. And if you think about how often you and I, even though we have years and years of experience and we're in ads managers day in, day out, it's always just cool to bounce ideas and get a fresh pair of eyes on stuff, no matter how experienced you are. So, you know, even if you have been running ads for a while and you are getting some great results, you know, we can be that kind of bounce ideas, second pair of eyes, ads manager in your back pocket type person if you're a small team. So you know, and this has been born out of essentially people just listening to this podcast and reaching out to us and asking for our help. So, you know, organically we were getting those requests. So it's like, well, that's working. Let's just, you know, tell more people about it. So we're going out with ads, asking people if they want a free 30-minute consultation call with you. There's not a sales pitch in sight. It literally is just 30 minutes of pure value. And then if people want to sign up with you for ongoing consultancy, that's available to them. And this is a very like, cut in if I'm going off on tangents or into too much detail, but like we're very much of the opinion like this is early days of like a bigger picture funnel that we're building. So for example, like at the moment in review right now in Ads Manager, we've got some like top of funnel, like brand awareness videos going out of the podcast. So that rather than going straight in with the book a call with us, we're going to have these podcasts going out so people can actually see us and understand that we have expertise and build that know, like, and trust. And then hopefully retargeting people that have consumed that content at middle of funnel, then our costs will be lower and people will be more inclined to work with us because they kind of know who we are. And like we said this morning, like there will always be people that are ready to do the thing you want them to do cold, like purchase something or opt in to your funnel as a lead. But in an application funnel, it might be that when you are having more of that conversation about working together, there might be more resistance there if it's somebody that is cold, rather than having time to actually build the relationship through
Absolutely.
content.
Well, it's a low-hanging fruit, isn't it? But I think I would say the common denominator in everyone saying Facebook ads don't work for me is because they have one idea, one ad, one text, one description, one image, or one video. They send it out there and they go, oh, I didn't really pick up very much. And they run it for a bit, they waste a load of money, and they go, oh, well, Facebook doesn't work for me. And that's probably because it's not that Facebook ads don't work, it's the setup, the product, the website. There's so many bigger factors. If you've got the perfect product, which is like, going on to Tom in a bit, how his, sunglasses are just such a great product. The price point's right, everything's just right. It's then getting the ads set up in the right way and using the experience we've got to get the results that it's capable of getting. And that's the thing, because Facebook ads do work. But there are so many people who say they don't. Well, most people that we even come across say they don't work.
Yeah. Or another time where it doesn't work is no matter how good your ads and your targeting is, if you've got a shit product or a shit offer, it's not going to work. And I think sometimes, or a lot of time, people are like struggling to get traction on the thing that they have.
Yeah.
And then think that ads are going to fix it.
They won't.
So prove concept first, which is what Tom did, right?
Yeah.
And now you've changed his life in a week.
I know, it's brilliant, isn't it? He's got, they've got such a great product. It's a really cool style of sunglasses. I mean, we should really give him a shout out about it, because there'll be people listening to podcasts who probably want to go and check it out and buy some sunglasses, which are cool, aren't they? So, it's Nomad sunglasses, I think it is. That's really bad. I don't know if Matt, if you want to Google it while I'm talking, just to make sure that I've got the right one. But really cool things, and it came from Tom having his Ray-Bans broken, and he's then gone out and he's designed his own range and got them all padded up and all this sort of stuff. But he'd been listening to our podcast and said some really nice stuff about our podcast, Matt, because he'd listened to others and he found two British guys opposed to Americans who were talking really in depthly about ads and stuff like that. So the interesting thing was that when he came to us and said, you offer consultancy, and we said, yes, we do now, and we got involved, I went into his ads and it was like, naming conventions were good. He was running a 7-day stack. He was running a top of funnel. He was doing a reach campaign at middle of funnel. Like all the stuff that he's taken from these podcasts. It's really touching that because when we first started this, Matt, we're talking to no one, and we were talking to no one for so long, and now we're talking to thousands of people are listening to our podcast. We get our stats for all the time. We've done another 500 in the last couple of days, where it took us 6 weeks to get 500. So it's mad. So yeah, thank you everyone for doing that. Actually, if anyone is liking these, if you could leave a review in Apple or wherever you're doing it, that really helps us. So we really appreciate that.
Only if you're going to leave a 5-star review, though. Like
5-star review. This is exactly.
Yeah. We'd rather not.
So I go into Tom's ads, and it's really good to see that. And he's doing some well. He's got some really good audiences going through based on what we're doing. His 7-day stack is getting him a 7-day return. But the things that he's in his business, so he's working on his business, and so many people out there who are listening to this podcast will be doing the same thing. And I apologize if you can hear a drill outside. I don't know if you can. I'll try to dub the outside noise.
Yeah, it's very faint, so I think we're good.
But it won't take very long. So there's so much to do when you're running ads. Now, we obviously are running them for our own business, but we have members of staff and we're able to do it and things like that. But when you set up your own small agency, or you've got your own company that you're trying to branch out. There's a lot to learn. You've got to think about the distribution, your own marketing, how you run ads. There's a lot to learn. That's why it's come at such a right time for us, because we've tried to fill in the gap with what we're doing, in the fact that one of the other podcasters said earlier as well, when do you take on an agency? And it's kind of like we have a course, we have the podcast, it's obviously proven, Tom's followed our podcast to actually structure his ads manager in the way that we talk about, which is brilliant. And this sort of fills in that gap of, for not a lot of money, you can have us on calls to look over the ads. I know that sounded like a bit of a hook, but I'm not trying to make it into a hook, but go to theadsclinic.com if you do want more information. Is going in there and putting the little things that we do all the time into the ads. So when I looked at Tom, it was all great, but he'd chosen, he was doing a lookalike audience, because people say to us, use lookalike audience. And I said to him, why do you do that? Well, all my research and the podcasts I listen to says use a lookalike audience. I think using lookalike audiences do work. And I think Matt and I, we've had lots of conversations in the past of where there are a lot of times when they don't work and an interest-based works better. A bit of laziness comes down to a lookalike, because you automatically think that a lookalike is going to be the thing that wins and it's going to get the orders. But then it's like, well, what lookalike? 1%, 10%, 8%, 3%? All these different types.
Also, like, that lookalike audience is based off of a custom audience. So that custom audience has to be good.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be getting good results from that custom audience. You can't just go in and like start running, like just think, oh, I'm going to do like 3 custom audiences and 3 like interest-based audiences, and then like 3 lookalike audiences, just because people do say lookalikes perform better. And I think they do in the long run, once you have enough of a decent data set to base that off of.
Yeah, but it's not set in stone, is it?
Absolutely not. Nothing is with ads, really, is it?
Well, so with Tom's, he was running the lookalike, and I said, well, let's look at some interest-based stuff. Let's do some, you've got a decent amount of budget, spending £100 a day on this particular top of funnel. I said, look, let's look at some normal broad interests. Let's look at some broad interest based on not like page likes. And the audience now is, our listeners are probably thinking, well, how do you get Facebook to select page likes? Well, you don't, and it's still an interest. Fitness is an interest-based audience. Gymshark is a page-like based interest audience. So they both come up in the interest when you choose your audiences, but you know that people like Gymshark. So it's going to be a lot more, what's the word? People have actually liked the page, opposed to
but there's
Facebook's
more like
algorithm.
intent behind it, rather than somebody just randomly typing one word or like into their status one day to show that
exactly
that thing.
So fitness is an interest, but if you wanted to, so I said to him also, let's layer some audiences. Let's look at people who like Gymshark, people who like Nike, people who like Adidas or whatever is going to get, they've liked those pages. So we went into that sort of stuff, and then let's bring in some lookalikes. Let's look at like a 3% audience and I think it's a 1% audience and a 3% lookalike audience based on I think it was add to cart, because there wasn't enough of anything else coming through for purchases wise. So we set it up like that, 7 audiences. We put £100 a day on it. So really allowing the algorithm to sort of find it out. There are winners, but there aren't any losers either. The loser, when coming back a few days later, I got on the call to Tom. I said, how's your week been? He's like, oh my God. Like literally, we've had to get the kids off. Myself and my wife are literally packing till like 1 o'clock in the morning. So he's gone from 50 orders in a week. And Tom, sorry if I was slightly wrong, but around about 50 orders in a week to now 50 orders in a day. And it's just like unbelievable. We haven't changed the budget. We have just literally changed the way we use the algorithm to get to the right people. So, the call I've had with him today is taking things to the next stages where we're going to test out, he's got loads of videos. He's done these himself down in Cornwall. He's got loads of images. It's really, really great photography. The video came from the fact that he asked the photographer and the models to stay on a little bit longer so he could, no, sorry, not the photographer, the models stay on a little bit longer so he could do some iPhone filming and then made them into a movie sort of thing, little ads. Brilliant stuff. But I said, you still don't know what's working. So yeah, you're getting plus 9, 10, 11. One of the ads is even getting 18 ROAS. based on a video that you think works, based on a text that you think works, and they are. But let's see if we can beat it. So today we've kept that.
Oh, what is that only based off of one ad?
One creative,
like one
ad
creative and one
running through it. So it's
Make
like,
sure
well,
you
let's
don't turn that
beat
off though.
No, what the standard
when you
top of funnel?
when you start testing, do not change that ad.
No, so that top of funnel's working and it's running. So we've taken some more budget. We've taken additional budget and we've created another lookalike audience based on 5%. So it's nice and big, and we've created. Interesting enough, we've done URL. A landing page, because I said, well, where are you sending people? And he said, I built a landing page and it's all mobile. So we looked at the stats and everyone's going through mobile. So as he built a landing page for mobile with a 15% off and all this sort of stuff. And I said, well, let's try it. Let's try going to the URL that you're doing at the moment, based on dynamic creative with 5 videos, 5 images, 5 text, 5 headlines. But then let's duplicate the ad set and change the URL to website, straight to the homepage, and then do a third URL, which goes to the all products page on the website, so they can see the whole range of sunglasses. So we're just getting more and more data all the time. But what's fantastic about Tom is he's now at the point where it's like, wow, I've got to be really think about scaling even a little bit to get more orders, so we can handle the distribution and the delay in getting new stock.
Yeah, so it seems like that's the only thing that's really holding him back. It's more like the logistics behind it, which is like a really awesome problem to have.
Yes. Yeah. And then, really cool. Max, another consultancy guy. So he's working as a small agency where he does all different types of platforms, not just Facebook. He's very big on LinkedIn and competition stuff, but he needs assistance with the Facebook. And, one of the accounts we've managed to do a little bit of tweaking, which has brought down his cost per lead. He was running it on landing pages. Because the confusion here, this is where we're trying to bring value, not just talk about what our clients are doing and the results we get, is when people have got something new running, they're very concerned with the fact that what if I don't have enough event data going on to create leads? We talk about, Matt, what do you go back? So if you haven't got enough purchases, you go back to add to cart. If you haven't got enough add to cart, you go back to product views or whatever, yeah? But when you have experience like us, there are times when you have you decide, no, I'm still going to go out for lead gen, because I still know that we've got to tell Facebook and the Pixel to go and find people who are going to come and get leads. So the one particular client that Matt's working for, he was doing traffic to landing page to get an opt-in. Because he hadn't got the opt-ins, he couldn't set up the event to be opt-ins. But I said, you're going to have to go with it, because you could be here all day. It could take you weeks.
I don't think I think I've always just gone lead.
Yeah, it could take you weeks, couldn't it, for that sort of stuff?
I wouldn't advise optimizing for lead gen. I wouldn't do like traffic to like warm up the Pixel or anything like that. Like just go.
There's a lot of confusion in all this, isn't there? Because we talk about seasoning the Pixel. How can you seize a Pixel if you can't get leads, kind of thing? So we changed it to lead. Let's just do it. And then the client wants 40p a lead, £40 a lead. Those are coming through at £22 a lead.
Yeah.
So it's not that you don't know. It's not that Tom's got his ad manager set up perfectly. It's great, and he's making some money. He's making a lot more now because of what we can do. Max has got his ad manager. He knows what he's doing. These are intelligent people, but they're not in it all the time. They're trying to run a business. They're trying to run an agency using different platforms. By having us helping, can take your business to another level, because we can bring so much to the table. Go to theadsclinic.com for more information. 30-minute recall. Go now. Go.
So for people that are listening to this then, and they're like, that's awesome, like you've got Tom these amazing results, like is there like a top like three like quick win things that you like went in, you looked at it and you were like, do this after your first call, like just really easy like tip that you can give to anyone that's listening that they could maybe go away and try?
I would say the first thing is making sure you're optimizing the right way. And I would say that's probably the biggest thing in Facebook advertising, full stop, of everyone we've ever spoken to, is I don't know what traffic. Okay, I'm going to click the traffic one, because when you're looking at it and you haven't got any experience and you haven't bought a course or anything like that, what's conversion? What's the catalog objective? Oh, traffic. Oh, video views. They make sense, don't they? Video views. Oh, I'm going to get people to watch video views. And like our discussion this morning with our podcast, do we do video views or do we do
And
leads?
like, to be completely transparent, we talked about it, didn't we? And we were kind of like, well, we don't really know like what we think is best. So a bit of context, we're putting our podcast videos out there. We're going to retarget anybody that watches the podcast. So that's like a video views audience. So you can optimize your video for video views or traffic, because also we want people to listen to the podcast. So we were kind of like, what objective shall we use? So we've ended up just doing both. We're just going to see what the data tells us. We're just split testing it, exactly.
And that's the thing, I get that from the consultancy calls, where it's, what do you think I should do here? You've got to test it. Because I don't know. There's never one same client.
And I say this a lot. Like, I'm just like, there is no right
People
or wrong, really. Is there? Like, there are there's some really obvious, like, old school stuff that like is always just been a thing. Like, that's just not really like what you do. But like a lot of the time, it's just like there's no right or wrong. You just have to try things and see what happens.
Absolutely.
Just, I guess, have a bit of like rationale behind why you would do the thing that you're going to do. So like, you know, with us, my justification is there's no, for us, the goal, we want both of those goals. Like, we want people to watch the video so we can retarget them, but we also want more people to listen to our podcast. It might end up being that we get a really good click through from the video views, or
it might be the both run.
Or it might be that we get on the traffic campaign, we still get a decent amount of video views, so we can retarget that as well. So it's like we're like anybody else. We just try stuff and test it, don't we?
So that would be my number one, is making sure you choose the right objective and go in for. It's slightly different on an e-com, but even on an e-com level, I will test out in purchase conversion. Like, there's an argument that back in time, people would test out in traffic to figure out if an audience is working best. Just test out in conversion, because Facebook is going to go and find people who are going to buy. The problem is, people, when you test out in traffic and do stuff in traffic, is Facebook's going to go out and find people to come through and click through to the website you want to send them to. It's a different use of the data and the algorithm than if you're going to go and tell people to go and purchase the product. So even if you don't have, when you're testing out an audiences and you've got a cold pixel and all this sort of stuff, you can still bring people through. Yeah, you might not get any orders, but once you've hit your 2,000 odd impressions on every audience you're going to look at click-through rates. You're going to look at how many link clicks you got. You're going to look at the cost per link click. That's going to, even on purchase conversion, you're still going to get a lot of that data. Even if you don't get any purchases, you might get some add to carts, you might get some initiate checkouts. Then you can make the decision on the stuff that happens before those three main events happen. So that would be my first tip. The second tip is, I would say that you need to look at audience testing. Too much assumption on what's going to work. A lookalike, everyone knows a lookalike's going to be the best. It's not always the best. Look at trying to get yourself a half decent amount of budget. You want 20, 30 quid a day to start testing a few different audiences. And I know that's hard, but you've got to go into advertising from someone who's a complete starter. Listening to this, you have to go in knowing that you're going to waste some money. Do you know what I mean? You need a
not wasting money.
It's not. You're learning to get something right. I suppose the only time it might be wasting is if your product is absolute dog shit and everything else is crap.
Shouldn't even be an ads manager yet.
It shouldn't be an ads manager.
Shouldn't be an ads manager yet. I think you should be prepared to invest £1,000 into starting ads and seeing what happens, and you've got data at the end of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Be
you know,
prepared
you
to lose the ground.
test your audiences, and then you're going to find a lot of learnings in those audiences. And the second thing is use dynamic creative to your advantage. Like, you know, as Tom said, when we set his ad up, so we went through it and set it all up and everything and taught him how to do that. And it's like, well, what happens when we know what something's winning? And I said, well, this is Matt and I's like thing that just winds us up all the time, is because we have such good results from the testing process with dynamic creative. And I truly believe now, even though Facebook says it's because it wants you to find your winners and then set up a new campaign based on your winning, I think if you're giving Facebook 5 videos, 5 images, 5 different text, 5 different headlines, 5 different descriptions, it's got so many things to show. So like on Tom's today, we added in some emojis. So same text, but add in some emojis of a little sun with some sunglasses on and some high fives or whatever, because there are going to be people out there who love emojis. Facebook knows that Janet is in the interest base of liking sunglasses, but she also likes emojis. So Facebook's dynamic creative is going to show her the emojis. So put all this in there, and I'm starting to believe, if I haven't already, that dynamic creative just gives Facebook's algorithm more creative to show different types of people within an audience, opposed to just one text, one image. If you don't like videos, you're not going to see the ad. So have a picture and an ad. Sorry, a video and an ad, a video and a static. Christ.
Get there in the end.
So have a video and a static. You're going to disagree with me now?
No, I'm not going to disagree with you, but I just don't see how dynamic creative can be effective when you are spending like thousands a day.
You don't see how it's going to be effective?
No, because I think that when you're spending that much, it's going to put a lot of budget into stuff that's not like just to see. So I don't know how you can like really scale to like thousands a day in ad spend with dynamic creative.
Why? I don't understand.
Because I think that it's always gonna try and spend on stuff that doesn't work. Like only a small amount, because it's obviously going to put more into like the stuff that is resonating.
Okay.
Is it, when you've got like a bigger budget, is it not going to, it's going to like proportionately spend more on the stuff that's not working and therefore waste money?
I don't know. But let's if we use Janet as an example, Janet's still going to be in that audience, isn't she? And if she likes a video with emojis on the text, and we decide that the emojis on the text didn't get enough, is she going to be missed out of showing that ad? Or if she does see the ad, is she less likely to click on it and purchase and do what we want to because she hasn't engaged with it as well? Whether you're spending 20 quid a day or £1,000 a day. You see what I mean? I guess it's testing, isn't it? Again.
Yeah, I just see dynamic creative as a short-term thing, not as a scaling thing. But then I've not tried to scale with dynamic creative, so I don't actually know.
Yeah, that's the
It'd
thing,
be
isn't
interesting
it?
to see.
Because you could do a test, couldn't you? You could say, let's say it's Tom's, okay? So let's say it's got a winning audience and we've got a winning creative and all that sort of stuff. So it's like, right, let's take that audience, let's put in the winning stuff as one campaign, and then another campaign, let's keep it as the test. So we've got all the dynamic creative in it, but we're now going to go down to that one audience. We're going to put the same amount of money on each one as a campaign. And I'm saying as a different campaign rather than, well, it could be one campaign, but you could do it at a set level budget. So we're not letting CBO decide. We want to give them a fair chance of going 100 quid day on each one, see which one brings in the better return. That's the only way, isn't it, really?
Yeah. And then move the stuff that wins into a new campaign that is CBO, because you've qualified all of those things that win, and then CBO can just do its thing, but you're doing it between stuff that you've tested and you're confident is working.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would say those that from the experience I have, and especially obviously I do a lot more of the e-com or whatever, but that's what I like to see. I think you need to test the audiences, you need to test the dynamic creative, and you need to make sure your objectives are correct.
Yeah.
Anything I know you're not doing the actual, you haven't done the consultancy calls, but from what you see without, from your own ads, would you say that's about right? Have we got anything else that you would look at?
I think it's like, don't underestimate the power of creative. Like, because let's be honest, it's interruption marketing, right? So that creative has to get eyeballs. That's the thing that gets the person to look at the ad in the first place. So I mean, it's a combination of everything, as we always sort of say. But I think don't over or underestimate the power of creative. Spend some time on it. And I think this is why, for me, I like to not what frustrates me about dynamic creative, and I understand why it does this, but what you can't do very easily is test carousels, because I really like carousels, but within a dynamic ad you can only have like images and videos, whereas I like to have a carousel, an image, and a video, or like a couple of each. So that's another thing. So having like all of those three, I think is really important to test, and also often having like text in the image with like a headline or a hook, I see working really well. And again, I say this a lot, don't feel like you have to have a full funnel strategy. Test it, but don't worry if like you're not getting traction on a dynamic product ad or middle of funnel. Although I will say that I think between us, all of our clients, middle of funnel, like 7-day stack, just work to treat. So you're going to want to probably put that in, and you probably won't ever turn it off.
What would you say, when you run a carousel, can you have multiple text lines? Like slightly dynamic creative, but on a carousel? I don't think you can you?
No, you can't test copy on carousels. So yeah, and I think as well, like, just because you've got the option to put 5 in doesn't mean you necessarily have to. And the other thing I find when I am working with clients is that, so like if we take Tom for example, which by the way, I was getting his URL, it's nomadiwear.co.uk or .com, or no, it's nomadwear.co.uk or .com. Formerly trash, currently awesome. So 100% recycled sunglasses, which I love.
Even his boxes are made out of compost or something like that.
Nice.
I think it's compost. He's probably laughing now, thinking it's not compost, Nick. It's something else, but
But it's thinking outside the box on targeting. So like having your like person, your avatar like nailed is so important, especially with Facebook ads. I think a lot of people will kind of think, okay, I'm just going to put like sunglasses in as like an interest. But like, we're not interested in sunglasses. What are we like? What other people like that wear sunglasses? Like, I know that for you, like, you're using interests around like sport and stuff like that, aren't you? So it's thinking about the type of people and what they are interested in when you look at interests, not like sunglasses or
like paddle boarding has worked really well for him. Fitness has worked really well. We wanted to test CrossFit out because it's got a bit of a fitness video based around CrossFit. So like the paddleboarding one is, okay, this interest is working amazing. It's getting 18 ROAS on it, which is fantastic. What happens if, come summer, he was to do some filming based on people paddleboarding, surfing, wakeboarding? You're not doing that with a pair of sunglasses on. You're not doing it with, but you could do it standing next to your boards. Paddleboarding you could do with the sunglasses on. Now, that's pulled in people who have an interest in paddleboarding. I'm sure there'll be people in there who've probably just liked paddleboarding or whatever, but the audience is working.
So I think like targeting wise, that's really cool, because like going forward with like maybe more budget, and when you can be a bit more like experimental with stuff, that's where you can really go in on the copy. So like you're really talking to that specific person. But in complete contrast to that, if you think about it, in the summer, when you're like walking down the street or whatever, probably like, I don't know what the stat will be, but like more than every other person is probably going to be wearing sunglasses. So like, it's not even like, it's such a thing that everyone wears, that this could even work as like a completely open, broad, dynamic product ad once he's got enough data.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most people wear sunglasses, don't they?
Yeah, so that's one of the next things. Yeah, so that's what you get to that by setting up a DPO catalog ad, don't you? But rather than targeting people who've added to cart, you click the button on the right, which I went over yesterday with Max, and that will be use your catalog per show to a broad audience or another audience, but not saying, oh, I want them to see just these black sunglasses. I want them to see the range. And then you can also make Facebook's algorithm say, would the algorithm basically pull through, let's say, a blue pair because to show to someone who likes blue, or would everyone see the same catalog?
So you pick your catalog. So say you wanted to do it on like all products, you would select the option that to show this to people that are not already a customer.
Yeah.
But it will show them, like you can pick if you want it to be like one item or actually in a carousel. It will show a range of products that they're likely to be interested in.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's brilliant, isn't it? That's one of the that's the thing. There's so many, especially in Tom's case. There's so many because it's working. There's so many things you can do. It's actually scalability that's holding back, because there's only so much that him and his wife can do, especially with distribution and stuff. So it's a really, really exciting time, and it's great to have.
I was gonna say, it's really early days. Like he'll get there. He's probably just still enjoying the influx of orders at the moment.
Yeah,
like, I love packing orders. This is great. I'm making like 10 times more I was the week before.
Yeah, probably get bored of that at some point.
Oh yeah.
You get used to 10 grand weeks and you want £100,000 weeks.
Oh yeah, that never stops, I don't think.
No, exactly. Okay. Anything else you want to go over apart from throwing in another hook?
No, I think that's it. Get on the 30-minute call with Nick, and we'll try and do the same for your business.
Where do they have to go for that?
theadsclinic.com.
Nice. So if you want us to help with your ads in your ads manager, and there's nothing to lose, is there, Matt? Because at the end of the day, you get 30 minutes. And if 30 minutes, I think you're doing amazingly well, can't really help, or you're not at that stage yet, you need to go away and do this, this, and this. We'll get all that out in 30 minutes. If I think I can help, I'll help. That's it. I don't want to sit on the call telling you a load of stuff that doesn't work. I want it to work. We want to make money for people. So jump on, go to theadsclinic.com and give us a shout. If not now, do it whenever you're ready. It's fine. We're here. But the way, there are only so many of us in this business who can come onto these calls. So it is going to get to a point where it will be blocked until spaces become available, because we do have another business to run.
So many of us to go round.
Exactly.
That wasn't proper English. I don't know. It's time for me to go and get a coffee and some lunch.
Okay. Oh, is that time? Yeah. Okay. I'm starving myself. Brilliant. Well, I hope you like this episode, and we will see you on the next one.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.